On a distant planet, Zorath stood in the grand hall of his home. The bright colors of his world were beautiful, but today his heart felt heavy. He was an ambassador, a representative of his people, but he had just been exiled. A political scandal had swept through the ruling council, and Zorath found himself the scapegoat. His friends had turned against him, and he was forced to leave the only home he had ever known. As Zorath's ship flew through space, he felt a mix of fear and anger. Why am I being punished, he thought. I was trying to bring peace. But the council did not see it that way. They blamed him for their failures and sent him to Earth, a planet they deemed unimportant and backward. When Zorath's ship landed, he stepped out and was greeted by a strange world. The sky was blue, the air smelled fresh, and people moved quickly all around him. Zorath's heart raced. This was not the elegant world he was used to. It was chaotic and loud. Cars zoomed by, and people shouted to one another. He felt completely lost. Zorath tried to communicate with a nearby vendor selling colorful fruits. "Excuse me," he said, his voice deep and commanding. The vendor stared at him wide-eyed and then hurried away. Zorath frowned. He had not expected fear from a simple human. He adjusted his long robes, feeling more out of place. As he walked through the busy street, Zorath noticed a woman standing near a coffee shop. She was looking at him with curiosity. Her name was Lily, and she had bright eyes and a warm smile. When she approached him, Zorath felt a strange sense of calm. "Hi there." "You look a little lost," Lily said, her voice friendly. Zorath opened his mouth to speak, but words failed him. Instead, he nodded, feeling foolish. "I am Zorath," he finally said, trying to sound confident. "I am. New here." "New to Earth, huh?" "I'm Lily," she replied. "Do you need help?" Zorath hesitated. He was an ambassador, trained to lead and negotiate, yet here he was, needing help from a human. "Yes," he admitted, lowering his pride. "I am unfamiliar with your customs." Lily laughed lightly, and the sound was like music to Zorath's ears. "No problem. I can show you around. Let's start with coffee. It's a must-try here." As they walked together, Zorath learned about Earth's food and drink. They reached the coffee shop, and Lily ordered a cup. "This is a cappuccino." "It's my favorite," she said, handing Zorath a cup of the frothy drink. Zorath took a sip, and the warm liquid filled him with comfort. He smiled, surprised by the delightful taste. "Delicious," he said, and Lily beamed. They talked about their lives, and Zorath shared stories of his home planet. He felt a connection growing between them, something he had never expected to find on Earth. However, their moment of joy was interrupted. A group of humans gathered nearby, whispering and pointing at Zorath. He sensed their fear and curiosity, and his heart sank. He was a stranger in their world, and he could feel their distrust. "What's wrong?" Lily asked, noticing Zorath's change in mood. "Do they fear me?" Zorath asked, his voice tinged with sadness. "I do not wish to be a source of fear," Lily shook her head. "They just don't understand. People are often afraid of what they don't know. But you're not dangerous, right?" Zorath looked into her eyes, and for the first time since his exile, he felt hope. "No, I want to bring peace," he replied softly. "I want to understand." Lily smiled. "Then let's show them. You and I can help each other. Just take it one step at a time." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Zorath felt a flicker of warmth in his heart. Maybe this exile was not the end. Perhaps it was just the beginning of a new journey, one that might lead to understanding, acceptance, and perhaps something even more beautiful. The next morning, Zorath woke up feeling nervous. He stared at his reflection in the small mirror in his room. The strange human world around him was still new, and he had much to learn. As he prepared for the day, he remembered Lily's words, "Let's show them." Today was his chance to start fitting in. After breakfast, Zorath decided to meet Lily at the coffee shop. When he arrived, he saw her sitting at a table, her notebook open in front of her. She looked up and waved, her smile brightening the room. "Good morning, Zorath. Are you ready for your Earth adventure?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Zorath nodded, a bit unsure. "I am ready. But what should we do?" "Let's start with something simple," Lily suggested. "We can go shopping for groceries. It's a great way to learn about human food." As they walked through the bustling streets, Zorath admired the colorful shops and the people around him. He had never seen so many different styles of clothing and food in one place. Lily led him into a grocery store filled with bright colors and delicious smells. Zorath's eyes widened in wonder. "Look at all this food," he exclaimed. "What are those?" He pointed to a pile of round orange fruits. "Those are oranges," Lily replied, laughing. "They're sweet and juicy. You'll love them." She picked one up and handed it to him. Zorath inspected the fruit closely, turning it in his hands. "They look interesting." He took a cautious bite, and the burst of flavor surprised him. "This is good. How do you humans find so many different foods?" Lily smiled. "We have lots of choices. Now, let's try to get some vegetables." They walked through the aisles, and Zorath learned about all kinds of fruits and vegetables. He carefully listened as Lily explained their uses in cooking and how to prepare them. After their grocery shopping, they walked to a small park nearby. Children were playing, and families were enjoying picnics on the grass. Zorath watched in fascination. "Why are they so happy?" he asked Lily, genuinely curious. "Being with family and friends makes people happy," she explained. "It's a big part of life here." Zorath thought about his own world, where life was often serious and focused on duty. He realized he missed the laughter and joy he saw in front of him. "I want to learn how to be happy like that," he said, feeling a warmth in his chest. Lily beamed. "You're already on the right track. Let's join in on some fun." She grabbed his hand and led him to a group of kids playing a game. Zorath hesitated, but Lily encouraged him. "Just give it a try." Zorath joined the game, awkward at first, but soon he was laughing and running with the children. He felt a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced before. As they played, he began to forget about his worries and enjoy the moment. Afterward, they sat under a tree, catching their breath. Zorath smiled widely, feeling lighter than he had in days. "This is nice. Thank you for showing me." Lily smiled back. "See? It's all about having fun and being with others." "You're doing great, Zorath!" As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Zorath felt a deep connection with Lily. She was not just his guide, she was becoming a friend. "I appreciate your kindness," he said sincerely. "You make me feel welcomed here." "You belong here, Zorath," Lily replied, her voice soft but firm. "We just need to keep learning together." Zorath nodded, determination building within him. He was ready to embrace this new life. He might be an alien ambassador on Earth, but he was also a student of life, and with Lily by his side, he felt like anything was possible. The journey had just begun, and he was excited to see where it would lead. Days turned into weeks, and Zorath began to feel at home on Earth. He learned how to navigate the busy streets, enjoy delicious foods, and even make friends. Lily was always by his side, guiding him through the ups and downs of human life. They shared laughter and stories, and Zorath's heart filled with warmth whenever he was with her. But deep inside, Zorath knew that his troubles were not over. His exile from his planet still haunted him. He felt the weight of his responsibilities as an ambassador, and he knew that the political turmoil back home was brewing. He often wondered if anyone was trying to find him, and that worry never left his mind. One evening, as Zorath and Lily strolled through the park, enjoying the sunset, a strange feeling washed over him. He looked around, scanning the area for anything unusual. "Lily," he said softly, "I sense something is not right." "What do you mean?" she asked, her brow furrowing in concern. "I do not know, but I feel watched," Zorath replied, his eyes narrowing. He had developed a keen sense of awareness during his training as an ambassador, and right now, that instinct was screaming at him. Lily glanced around but saw nothing out of the ordinary. "Maybe it's just your imagination. We've been through a lot lately. You're still adjusting to everything." Zorath nodded, trying to shake off his unease, but the feeling lingered. They continued their walk, laughing and talking, but he could not ignore the growing sense of danger. The next day, while Zorath was at the local market, he spotted a group of people gathered around a street performer. He decided to take a closer look. As he approached, he overheard whispers from a small group of men. They were speaking in hushed tones, and Zorath strained to hear their words. "The ambassador is here. We need to take him back." Zorath's heart raced. He understood enough of their conversation to know they were talking about him. He quickly stepped back, trying to remain unnoticed. He needed to warn Lily and find a way to protect himself. That evening, Zorath met Lily at their favorite coffee shop. He could hardly contain his anxiety. "Lily," he said urgently, "we need to talk. I overheard something today." Lily looked worried. What did you hear? There are people looking for me. They want to take me back to my planet, he explained, his voice low and tense. I don't know what they want, but I fear it is dangerous. Lily's eyes widened. What do we do? Can you call for help from your planet? Zorath shook his head. I cannot. If I reach out, it may put you in danger too. They might come after you. Then we have to stay hidden, Lily suggested, her mind racing. Where can we go? I know a place, Zorath said, thinking quickly. There is a park near the edge of the city that is less crowded. We can go there tonight. I want to keep you safe. That night they arrived at the secluded park, the moon casting a soft glow on the path. Zorath looked around, making sure they were alone. But deep down he felt a sense of unease. He wanted to protect Lily, but the threat was very real. Suddenly they heard footsteps behind them. Zorath turned sharply, his body tensing. Out of the shadows emerged two figures, both wearing dark clothing. Zorath recognized them immediately as the men he had seen at the market. There you are, Ambassador! One of them sneered, a smirk on his face. We've been looking for you. Zorath stepped in front of Lily, ready to defend her. You will not take me, he said, his voice steady and firm. The men laughed, clearly underestimating him. You think you can fight us? You're just a lost alien on a backward planet. Zorath's heart pounded in his chest, but he felt a surge of determination. He couldn't let them hurt Lily or himself. With a swift movement, he activated a small device hidden in his wristband. It emitted a bright light, blinding the attackers momentarily. Run, Lily! He shouted, pushing her toward the exit of the park. But as she turned to escape, one of the men lunged forward, grabbing Zorath's arm. You're coming with us! He growled. In that moment, Zorath's instincts kicked in. He used his training and broke free, spinning around to face the attackers. The night air crackled with tension as he prepared to fight for his freedom and for Lily's safety. The moon hung high in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the park. Zorath stood tense and ready, heart racing as he faced the two attackers. They looked determined, and he could feel their energy and hostility. He knew he had to protect Lily at all costs. Let her go! Zorath shouted, his voice echoing in the stillness of the night. Why should we? One of the men sneered, stepping closer, eyes glinting with malice. She's just a human. You're the one we want. Zorath felt a surge of anger. He had come to care for Lily deeply, and the thought of losing her made his blood boil. With a quick motion, he activated his wrist device again, this time releasing a shockwave of energy. The attackers staggered back, momentarily disoriented. Go! He urged Lily again, and she didn't hesitate. She turned and sprinted toward the park's exit, fear and adrenaline driving her forward. Zorath knew he had to hold them off. As he readied himself for a fight, the men recovered quickly. They charged at him, one throwing a punch that Zorath barely dodged. He felt the rush of wind as the fist grazed his cheek. Instinct kicked in, and he retaliated with a swift kick, knocking one of the attackers off balance. But the second man grabbed him from behind, tightening his grip around Zorath's arms. You can't escape, Ambassador. You belong with us, he hissed, breath hot against Zorath's neck. Zorath struggled, his heart pounding. He could hear Lily's footsteps fading as she ran away. Every instinct told him to fight, to protect her, but he also knew he had to think clearly. With a sudden twist, Zorath broke free and turned to face his opponent. The man lunged again, but Zorath ducked low and countered with a quick jab to the gut. The man stumbled back, gasping for breath. But Zorath was running out of time. He had to make a choice. Stay and fight for his own freedom or run after Lily and protect her from the threat that followed. Why are you so eager to defend these humans? The first attacker spat, recovering from Zorath's earlier shockwave. You're an alien, an ambassador. You have duties to fulfill back home, not to waste your time with these people. Zorath hesitated for a moment, the words hitting him hard. He had responsibilities back on his planet, and staying on Earth was dangerous for both him and Lily. But as he thought of her laughter, her kindness, the way she believed in him, he felt a surge of determination. Because they are worth protecting, he replied, his voice steady. Lily is worth protecting. Before he could think any further, Zorath sprinted toward the direction Lily had gone, using every ounce of strength he had. He couldn't let them take him back. As he raced through the park, he heard shouting behind him. The men had regrouped and were hot on his trail. Zorath pushed himself harder, his heart racing as he rounded corners and dodged trees. Finally, he spotted Lily at the park's entrance. Looking back, worry etched on her face. "Zorath!" she shouted, relief flooding her voice. But it was short-lived as she saw the two men chasing him. "Run!" Zorath called out, but Lily didn't move. "Please, Lily." Just as the attackers closed in, Zorath made a split-second decision. He grabbed Lily's hand, pulling her close. "We need to go! Now!" Without waiting for a reply, Zorath led her away from the park, running as fast as they could. He could feel the danger closing in, but the thought of being with Lily gave him strength. They dashed into the nearest alley, heartbeats pounding in sync. Once they were hidden, Zorath leaned against the wall, catching his breath. "We have to find a safe place," he said, looking into Lily's worried eyes. "What do we do now?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. Zorath knew he had a difficult choice ahead of him. He could stay on Earth and continue to protect Lily, risking the wrath of those who sought him, or he could find a way to leave and return to his planet, fulfilling his duties and leaving her behind. For the first time, Zorath felt truly torn. He cared deeply for Lily, but the responsibilities of an ambassador weighed heavily on his shoulders. As he searched Lily's face, he realized the answer wasn't clear. They had to decide together what path to take, but time was running out, and danger was still looming close behind. Zorath and Lily stood in the dim alley, their breaths coming fast as they tried to calm their racing hearts. Zorath looked into Lily's eyes, searching for answers. He knew he had to protect her, but the threat from his past loomed ever closer. "Zorath," Lily said softly, her voice trembling. "What do we do now?" "They will come for you again." Zorath felt a wave of determination wash over him. "I won't let them take me back. I refuse to be a pawn in their game. I want to stay here with you." Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "You want to stay on Earth? But what about your duties as an ambassador?" "I don't care about the politics anymore," he replied, his voice filled with passion. "What matters most to me is you. I've never felt this way before. You make me feel alive." Tears filled Lily's eyes. "I feel the same, Zorath. But if we stay, it could be dangerous. We could lose everything." Zorath reached for her hands, holding them tightly. "I'd rather face danger with you by my side than live in fear alone. Together, we can fight whatever comes our way." The tension in the air was thick with uncertainty, but in that moment, they felt a bond stronger than any threat. As they stood together, Zorath realized that love could conquer all. He would do anything to protect Lily, and that meant facing the challenges ahead with courage. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the street. They both turned their heads, fear coursing through their veins. "They're coming!" Zorath said, pulling Lily close. With no time to waste, Zorath led her through the narrow alleyways, dodging pedestrians and vehicles. They needed to find a safe place where they could think and regroup. As they ran, Zorath kept scanning their surroundings, aware of every sound and movement. Finally, they spotted a small cafe with a neon sign flickering in the window. "In there!" Zorath urged, and they slipped inside just as a group of men entered the alley behind them. Inside the cafe, the smell of coffee and pastries surrounded them. Zorath glanced around, looking for a back exit. The cafe was quiet, with only a few patrons sipping their drinks and enjoying their pastries. They took a seat in a corner booth, trying to blend in and catch their breath. "What do we do now?" Lily whispered, her eyes darting around. "What if they find us?" Zorath reached across the table, holding her hand tightly. "We have to figure out our next move. I need to warn my planet about the danger, but I can't leave you." Lily took a deep breath, her mind racing. "What if we contact someone who can help? Maybe they can protect you and help us find a way to get you back to safety?" Zorath nodded slowly. "That could work, but it's risky. If they trace the call back to us, we could be in more danger." Suddenly, the cafe door swung open and Zorath's heart dropped. The two men from the park stepped inside, scanning the room. Zorath felt a surge of panic but forced himself to stay calm. "Stay quiet," he whispered to Lily, as he let go of her hand, ready to act. The men approached the counter, ordering drinks and glancing around the cafe. Zorath's heart raced as he tried to think of a plan. He could feel Lily's nervousness beside him. They needed a distraction, and fast. "Zorath," Lily said suddenly, "look." She pointed to the bakery display where a small group of children had gathered, laughing and pointing at a colorful cake. Zorath's mind clicked into gear. "That's it!" He stood up and walked toward the display, pretending to admire the cake. He could hear Lily's soft gasp as she realized his plan. "Excuse me?" Zorath said to the cafe worker, pointing to the cake. "Can I get a slice of that?" As the worker turned to prepare the order, Zorath glanced back at the men. They were still distracted, focused on their drinks. He quickly slipped behind the counter, hoping to find a way to escape unnoticed. "Zorath!" Lily whispered urgently, but he motioned for her to stay put. He spotted a back door leading to the alley. It was their chance. He took a deep breath, pushing through the door and holding it open for Lily. "Come on!" They slipped out into the night, the cool air rushing around them. Zorath led Lily away from the cafe, heart pounding with adrenaline. They ran through the streets, searching for a safe place where they could talk. Eventually, they found a small park where they could hide. As they caught their breath under the trees, Zorath took Lily's hands again. "I know this is risky, but I don't want to live in fear. I want to be with you, and I believe we can face this together." Lily looked into Zorath's eyes, seeing the determination there. "You're right. Love can conquer all. We'll find a way through this. Together." And in that moment, surrounded by the darkness of uncertainty, they felt a flicker of hope. No matter the dangers that lay ahead, their love would guide them through. They were ready to face whatever came next, side by side.